Welcome to our video which describes our Science and Engineering Practice Toolkit. The Alliance for Science Educators Toolkit, or ASSET, for the Next Generation Science Standards, Science and Engineering Practices, provides support for planning and dialogue to focus science learning as a student-centered process. It allows for student action-based lessons. It promotes engagement while supporting students' intellectual work or sense-making in the science classrooms. As a review, the NGSS, or Next Generation Science Standards, is comprised of three dimensions: science and engineering practices, disciplinary core ideas, and cross-cutting concepts. The intention of the NGSS is to actively facilitate student engagement in observations and asking their own questions, envisioning ways to investigate their questions, identify problems and create solutions, experiment or test, and ultimately explain and improve upon their results. Our toolkit provides scaffolds for teachers and those who support educators as they plan lessons and units or unpack current science curriculum. Once on our website, click on the visuals for the SEP tools. We have created and vetted our SEP toolkit for grades K through 12. Divided into grade bands K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12. Feel free to explore all 8 practices. Let's take a look at SEP 1, Asking Questions and Defining Problems, at the K through 2, 3 through 5 levels. Note, there is a downloadable PDF version as well as a downloadable and fillable PDF version. Our SEP tools have 2 to 3 pages each. The first page gives an overview of the SEP. We have divided the SEP into components for easier navigation, discourse, and planning. A yes-no column provides room to note if a particular component is addressed in a lesson or unit. The fillable PDF allows for noting this digitally. The tool allows for specific notes regarding teacher facilitation of that component while planning lessons or unpacking curriculum. The final column allows for notes on student actions or sense-making for that particular component. Note that the third component in SEP1 at the K through 2, 3 through 5 level contains gray boxes, which means it's not present until upper grades. The second page of any SEP shows more detailed actions for students at each component. For example, SEP1, Component 1, prompts students to ask questions based on observations. The 3 through 5 grade band builds on K through 2, for example, by noting changes in variables. Let's look at SEP1 again, but now at the 6 through 8, 9 through 12 grade bands, to note some simple differences from the K through 2, 3 through 5 bands. Here at the 6 through 8, 9 through 12 level, all 4 components are present. The columns previously mentioned are also available to note teacher and student actions. Teachers can facilitate much more detailed skill sets in SEP1. For example, in Component 1, students are expected to generate more of their own questions, cite evidence, and begin to refine the questions they asked previously. Some SEPs have a third page to accommodate more details of components, especially for engineering design skills and greater student engagement at the 6 through 8, 9 through 12 grades. Given the actual complexity of each SEP, as we saw in just SEP number 1, it is important to evaluate which SEPs will be included in your classrooms and which components you will feature for your students to practice and perhaps to be assessed. Here's an analogy. Imagine using this toolkit to plan what SEPs and which components will be cultivated to grow in your classroom. Some units of study cultivate a different number of topics or skills. For instance, the flower box on the left shows a sample unit, the box, with various lessons, the flowers, each flower addressing a specific component under various SEPs, not the entire SEP. The flower boxes on the right represent potential other units of differing scope and depth, with varying numbers of lessons that can now cover other SEPs, or even the same SEP but different components now. Here are some parting tips for using the SEP toolkit. First, they are meant for discussion and discourse related to enacting the components of the SEPs across grade bands. The toolkit can be used with pre-service teachers or in professional development for pre- or post-observations or analysis of lessons. The SEP tools, specifically the components, are very important for determining a more narrow and clear focus for each SEP in a lesson. SEPs are not meant to be covered in their intended entirety in one unit. The SEP toolkit and scaffolding features allow for educators to plan or note where SEPs occur in curriculum to allow for varied approaches to enacting the NGSS. Click the link above for more detailed one-pagers and videos to describe our tools. We acknowledge the funding from the National Science Foundation for support of this project.